Are there practices I could do that kind of like nurtures that? Because in business, there's so much you need to self trust. Because you, once you get to that point that you're like, oh, I can't look externally for advice. I need to make decisions myself because I'll chart my
Mhm.
own path. Is there a way to strengthen that muscle?
Yeah, you bet. You bet. It kind of reminds me, I've gone through that myself and do over and over as the cycle continues. There's times when I'm feeling very confident about what I'm doing and kind of on top of the world. And then it's kind of weird. A year or 2 years later, I get to the space you're describing where it's like something's something's not there. Like I don't feel as you could put different words. I don't feel as confident, or I don't feel as sure, or I'm questioning myself, or this kind of sense internally that something's a little off, but I can't quite put my finger on it, right? I don't exactly know what it is. And it's really unsettling. But what I can say is one, everybody's going through that right now. It actually has to do with the way the energy is shifting on the planet.
Mm,
Because we're shifting, like I said, we're shifting out of this age of dependence on others and external things into a, what would I even call it? Well, in our program, we just call it spirit mind. And we're getting out of the material mind focus, which is dominated by material world things. Nothing wrong with that, but you need to have both if you're going to feel fulfilled inside. So what you're asking, so what would you do? What would the practice be? So the first thing to do, which you might be doing already, is to start asking yourself, what do I really want? What is my true desire? What do I want to do? And the easy answers that pop up, like I want to make $1 million, I I want to have this many followers, I want to build my business. Those answers, there's nothing wrong with those. It's not that they're not true, but ask yourself, why do I want those things? And the first thing you'll probably get is the list of the material world reasons like, oh, I want that because then my life will be easier. I can take more time off. I can impact more people. I can, you have all this list of justifications that sound great and they're true. There's nothing wrong with these. But then you want to keep asking, okay, what am I really, why am I really wanting that thing? Or you can ask the opposite. What am I afraid I won't get if I don't accomplish that thing? Right.
mm.
And now you're starting to get into the level of like down closer to your emotions. Like, what am I attached to? What is the fear? What's really driving me? Everybody's journey through this is going to be different as you ask yourself these questions. But what you start to notice is that a lot of times the motivation is just something that you picked up along the way. Um, my dad was interested in that. And so I thought that was cool because I thought my dad was cool. And so I got interested in that too. So I kind of added his goals. My mom was really great at this thing. So I admired her and wanted to be like that. The people that I've met in the world that are so amazing, I want to be more like them. And this is one of my favorite ones. This feeling of wanting to be more like somebody you admire,
Mm.
because if you really focus on what is it you admire about that person, it's almost always the fact that they're being themselves, right? So like what I love about that person is they're authentic and they're being themselves. So if I want to be like them, I can't copy and be like them. That won't work. I have to be authentic and be myself, right?
Mm.
It seems really obvious once I say it, but I fall into that trap too. I've become the like, I had a dream about, this part of the American dream, and then I accomplished it and was like, Something's missing." And then so I
Mm.
shifted the dream, like, no, I really admire that spiritual teacher. I'm going to be like them. And then I got to that position. I'm like, still not quite there. It keeps going until you finally say, I'm just going to be myself.
Mm.
And that's one of the big keys. It kind of clicks in.
Mm.
But of course, the next question is people hit is, well, who am I? What does that mean to be myself? And if you get to there, just talking to people that are listening, I want you to stop and rewind, right? So go back to the place where you heard, I just have to be myself. And you went, and it felt really good. Just stop there. That's enough. Having your mind start to ask, what does that mean? And who am I? That you're going backwards now. Like you sort of kind of went up, you got the crescendo of I just have to be myself, and now you're gonna, okay, I'm gonna go think about it and go into this rat hole of not knowing who I am. You can't not know who you are, right? You can not know that you're faking it. You can fail to notice uh, your behavior, but once you hit that place where you realize, oh, my goal is actually to be myself, you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to dig deeper. Just give yourself a little time, and that awareness will, it's just like a flower, just start to unfold more and more and more. We have a hard time with the step. That's what I've seen with students the most, especially this year. It's very hard to stop your mind from driving toward whatever you think you need to drive toward. But that's the game we're switching out of. We're switching out of the game of using our analytical mind to decide things that don't make sense. Like, I have to think about who I am. That doesn't make sense. That's like if somebody asks if you're hungry and you look at your watch, right? To see what time it is, to see if it's dinner time. That doesn't make sense, right? Because- right? So you're like, when somebody asks if you're hungry, you just say, a little bit, yeah, or not yet, right? These are things that you know, right? You don't need to look it up on your phone. Like your phone doesn't know these things. It's a phone, right?
I'm having a bunch of like mind triggers as you're going through this, and one of them is just like, even in the times it's like, oh, I just need to be myself, and it's like, all right, well, what does be myself look like as a prescription? And I feel like there's something I need to do or change to be myself, which just sounds so ridiculous with what you've just shared, to make us realize that, oh, maybe this is the whole problem.
Well, and this is one of the hard things with the program that Hisami, my wife, came up with. Spirit Mind. She's been teaching it for 10 years in Japan, and we just brought it into the English market. And that's the hardest thing when we're doing the invitation page to kind of bring people in. I felt like we needed to tell people, when you really start going within, you might find it a little boring. Like we are used to our analytical mind just bouncing back and forth, highs and lows, and chasing our dreams and making things happen. And if you start to settle into an inward focused awareness where, like, my life's purpose is to be myself. Okay, that was a little too simple. Things like, I'm here to be of service to others and help others. Like, okay, these are all really simple things. There's no analytical part required. But I found it this way, and also some of my best friends that went through the program said the same thing. They said, I get it, I understand the training, but I feel a little bored now. I feel a little bit restless. And it's like, yeah, that'll take a little time for that to calm down, for this to notice that I feel full because I'm turning inward. And like, that's the more you let that space grow, the more you realize it's not just enough, it's like overflowing with abundance.
Thank you so much for listening to the Selling with Love podcast. We have some previous episodes you can tune into right here. And if you prefer the short form content where you get to the point in under 10 minutes, we do have a ton of clips from our best episodes that are being shared on this channel as well. So pick which one supports you the most. And of course, thank you for liking, subscribing, and of course, selling with love.